Of introducing Tsēmā Agaris. Tsēmā is an award-winning interdisciplinary artist, mentor, mentee, and descendant of Tahltan matriarchy. Using strategies of care and resistance, Tsēmā creates work that connects materials to mine sites and bodies to land. This practice cites her Indigenous mentorships, potlatch, studies in visual culture, and time in the mountains. She has studied at Kassan, Emily Carr University of Art and Design, and earned an interdisciplinary Master's of Art, Media, and Design from OCAD-U. Tsēmā has exhibited and performed on Turtle Island and beyond. Please join me in welcoming.
Durante Tsēmā Ushie, Tahltan Ja'aste, Tiskia, Idaste. Etu ithini, Tagodin, Jaset in Medu, Dene Silk, Nidene Soga Astin. Medu Sa Astin. Thank you so much, Tanya, for inviting me to come to speak, and I just want to also acknowledge my family here today, and also the work that that Tanya and her team did to bring us all here. Yeah, my daughter Kitsu is here in the back with my mother Colleen, so I just really thank them for being there, and thank you, Tanya, for allowing us to be part of this residency. Later I'll show you some artwork that we made this morning. Yeah, I'm also really pumped to be here with Peter. And I was thinking that Auntie Janelle is my great aunt, and so I think that makes you my great cousin. So I prepared a few slides. I wanted to show some of the work from my past, and then also a little bit of what I was working on at the end of last year. So this work here is a jarred salmon core box. It's combining the look and build of a mining core box that usually would be full of rocks. And in my work, I work a lot with youth, and I took them to this mine site as part of our journey through to Mount Zaidza. And we stopped at a mine where an engineer showed us this prized core box. And we were quite taken with it. It was made out of mahogany wood, and it was lined with velvet, and it was a bed for this gold rock. And the rock was sparkling and beautiful and so inspiring. And this is the kind of thing that they would show the investors at a trading show to gather funds so that they can make this camp into a full-fledged mine. And the students and I were impressed, but I was also there through a different lens. And so as an artist, I wanted to talk a little bit about the way that we see the value of this place and the value of these rocks. And so this is one of those expressions of that challenge to a value system, is putting this fish instead of that gold into these boxes and having them displayed as what is at stake if this mine moves forward. I also wanted to show this work here as a way to show my transition to speak about water. In my work before speaking about water, and still I continue to use this language, is I speak about a material connection to mine sites, and I try to make this connection also showing that the materials and metals, the ore bodies that we use, we touch, and we live with every day connects us back to those sites, connects our bodies, connects us people back to those mine sites and the issues that go along with it. And, you know, in this work, it took me to the Northwest Territories, to Sahtu Dene Territory, and we crossed from Delana into the 8th largest freshwater body in the world, Sahtu, or Great Bear Lake, to visit a abandoned mine site. And we were guided by Sahtu Dene people and an elder who shared his knowledge about the lake. The lake being, like for us, Mounted Zaidza, a person and a character, and a way that, what the heck? I got it. It's okay, because, you know, before I moved on, I wanted to acknowledge your work, Tanya. It was the first time seeing the work where you projected through the crystals, and that is so exciting to me. And in a parallel universe, yeah. I was projecting through a prism and a bottle of that Great Bear Lake water. Come on. There it is. Ah, got it. Okay. Whew. Close one. And I love the projection through the crystal work, through the prism, through the water. And for us, we were talking about the way that we were seeing this journey. We tried to find a way to represent this place and our journey that wasn't exploitative. Because we were very careful in the way that we visited other territories. Now, my collaborator, Erin Siddell, she's a settler filmmaker. She had lived in Japan for a time. She has a Japanese daughter. She was interested in those atomic histories and also researching how the Canadian story of extraction played into those atomic histories. And for us, it was in this lake that we visited to, and the uranium mine on the other side of the community, on the other side of the lake from the community that we traveled there. So 10 hours in a boat ride, and we made it to this lake. And it's haunting. It's a haunting place. Very clean. There's a monument there telling of the connection to that mine and the bombs of Hiroshima. It was also a very clean mine site, trying to bring this place back to the state that it was, which was, of course, impossible. So to try to tell the story, actually we didn't want to. And our guides encouraged us that that there was more to this lake to tell. And so going there thinking I would talk about this material connection, as I had done one time as well in Alberta about bitumen, thinking I would then talk about our connections to uranium. Like, how are we connected to this force, this energy? But actually the project became about water. And so this is when I start to change the direction in my practice to what I'm talking about now. So here's some more work from that collective body that Erin and I made. So this is two plinths that we made. One from the monument that we found, and so we recreated that shape and draped this photo from the mine over top of that with a foundation piece left from the mine before cleanup. And then also this one here is the government warning sign of the use at your own, like be here at your own risk. And then we draped over a piece of the rubble touching the rock that we thought was a really powerful moment in that place. And then we also have these crystals that we found and raw ore body that we collected hesitantly, hoping they weren't too radioactive. And at the encouragement of our guides, I kept on coming over with more and more crystals from this site, and you should keep them. Like, I don't know. But they did become these kind of treasures and kind of what we had brought back. We felt they were gifts, but also we wanted to talk about these rocks, about not only that could they be emitting a bit of radiation, and they were about the same amount as our computers. So be careful. No. So we commissioned a glass artist to blow these glass cases for the rocks with lead-lined glass, so they protected the viewer. We also put them on the floor. I really appreciate the kind of performativity of the actual art objects. So that you have to dance around a little bit, and you're worried about breaking the land or these rocks. And so in one way they protect the rock, and in another way they're protecting you. And so we thought that was kind of a poetic way to talk about our experience. This piece here is a piece made over the pandemic with all of the funds of all of the artists who dropped out of Stages Festival, except me. And so it was a wonderful opportunity to flex as a First Nations, female Indigenous, well, I already said First Nations, you knew what I mean, artist, to make a large-scale land art and a piece of big, yes. And so we had a construction crew build a swimming pool, a kidney-shaped swimming pool, to the specs of a mining tailings pond. And I was able to use the know-how from my brother, Nathan Scabovius, who is a mining engineer at a local mine here, actually, who helped me build it to the specs of an actual mining tailings pond. And so this work is meant to be inviting, but it also is meant to be a commentary on the haphazard way the mining industry uses water, and the legacy of the tailings that is being used, I felt, in a way that we would never run out, that we have this incredible resource at our disposal, and kind of like having those swimming pools in LA. And so this was kind of my thought process. You know, I'm still kind of mulling over how to talk about this work in a more academic way, but I am still really proud of this work, and I wanted to share it with you all. And there's a breach just before the opening. Nathan was telling me, and I sort of, and I have somebody else who's working at the Mount Poly mine. We had a bit of a conversation about the breach being the same way that my tailings pond breach was the same way that the Mount Poly tailings pond breached. Just kind of interesting happening. And scramble for us. So this work here is very close to my heart. It was very hard. It was a very hard show. You know, the way the other artists are talking about how closely the life and the art meld together to become our expression, our breath. It really came out in this body of work. So this is my most recent body of work, and it was my ambition to use potlatch as methodology to speak about value, to speak about mining and extraction, and this is the result. Just bring up my notes that I'm not using at all. So the first works, the jarred salmon, the soapberry juice, the huckleberries. This work is called When Clothes Smell Like Smoke and Vinegar, When Fingers Rake Debris from Berries, When Skin is Stained Blue, I Know I Am Rich. The copper birch bark basket vessel is called Water Keeper. The blanket is lost in my notes. Oh, here it is, here it is. This mountain exhales sustenance and shrouds my body to rise again. It's a picture of Mounted Tsēmā, the blanket, and I had it digitally woven. The outside is covered in a layer of penny sequins. That's what we found in my computer earlier. The tech person, yeah, that's what we found. It's the punch outs there. Couldn't figure out why the USB couldn't go in there. The punch outs were too jammed in there. I haven't used that USB port in a while. So I was really called with my research in potlatch as methodology, my work with revitalizing potlatch in our communities, to wonder how to apply that to my body work, still speaking again about mining and extraction. And so what I was thinking about is this was a storeroom, and so this is where I was like keeping my food and gifts before the event. And I also invited the people who came to view to drink tea from the basket vessel. So they came into the gallery, they would grab a cup, fill it up with this digitally recreated Death Allah sheep horn spoon ladle. They would be able to enjoy that cup of tea, and then they would leave that cup on the way out of the gallery as a record of their attendance, and then slowly that would build over the period of this show, and then they would be able to grab a publication as a gift as well from me to them. The walls were also painted in an ombre that matched the canned goods, which was really exciting. Even the like the peach color is called salmon, which I was excited about. yeah, what else do I have to say about this? Oh, probably exactly why I brought it up is, and so just like in Potlatch, I invited guests to come, as many canned goods as I made, so very carefully. First, we had some conversations with some readings over 3 months or so. And then we gathered together at the gallery so that I could perform this artwork. And just want to honor Michael and her family for singing at that event and being there to receive the artwork. Yeah, this was a very powerful experience. And part of the show was, or part of the performance was to bring the blanket down. I wore it so that I can give the canned goods away, and then I divided the blanket just like as would be done in Potlatch, and I gave those pieces away. And I wanted this to be like Potlatch as well, so you can take that piece of the artwork with you. You could be reminded of the experience physically. In Potlatch and what I talk about in using Potlatch as methodology is that ceremony is a physical representation of the spiritual, and so it's very important to have that physical reminder of this experience to take away from there, and also to eat. And so we ate afterwards, and so that we can receive that knowledge into our body. Also, I wanted to ask these questions about, like, what does it mean to put so much labor into something? Like, all of the artwork was so labor intensive, to make so much fish and canned goods, right, Mom? And and hope that it was going to be a good salmon year, and hope that there was enough berries, and clean those soap berries and all the bugs out of there, and sticks, and yeah, it's also a thing. And really hope it was going to be a good berry year, and that our spot wasn't all picked out. And hope that we were going to have enough berries for ourselves left over after I made my artwork. So those are the kinds of things. What does it mean to give away pieces of the land? Is it an action of care or an action of destruction? How are we part of that action? Okay, that's my sharing.